Namaste, beautiful. Welcome to Yoga is the Answer. Today the question is, how can we improve our balance, increase strength in the legs, and open the hip flexors without even standing up? And my answer for you today is low lunge. This version is known in Sanskrit as Ashwa Sanchalanasana, equestrian pose or horse riding pose. I'm going to teach you a couple of different variations that might be useful for those with less flexibility and mobility in the hips and the knees, and for those with more mobility and flexibility. Yeah, so let's start with the former. So let's come to our knees. And now we're just going to step forward with the left foot. So let's just step it to about here. Yeah? So most people can probably come into this position comfortably. Okay, so we're going to start around here. So kind of for beginners and a lot of people who are being more cautious, suggest doing this pose in such a way that the knee is going to be directly over the ankle or the heel. The reason for this being that it will then kind of protect your knee, right? So if our knee is coming over like this, then it could cause some problems in the knee. So this is my recommendation for beginners and those who have maybe some knee problems, kind of exclusively, if I'm being honest. This is great. It's a great starting point. So let's use this as our starting point, right? So let's see how it feels to be here, to feel the knee directly above the ankle or directly above the heel. And then see if we can find that stretch in the hip flexor. And then if our hands are up or if our hands are down, then we notice that, it does really take some balance here as well. And probably if we've been here on the left leg for the whole time, we can feel it starting to strengthen, right? So we're getting that trifecta of the balance, the strength, and the flexibility, right? And so if we're doing Ashwa Sanchalanasana, then we want for our hands to be down and our chest is lifted as much as possible. So either we can have our hands that they're flat on the floor, or we can be up on the fingertips to kind of lift the heart a little bit more. So depending on how it feels for you, depending on your flexibility, depending on your strength, depending on your balance, you can choose how you want your hands to be here. Yeah. And so we also want for our hips to be pretty square toward the front, right? So we want them to be in one line horizontally. And then when our hips are in one line, then we keep going forward. And when we come forward, then we want them to still be in one line, right? We don't want for our front one to be coming up and us to be opening to the side like this, because then if we notice and we are kind of twisting this way a little bit, then it's not doing the same thing for this back hip flexor, which is one of the main purposes of the posture, right? Is to get into this hip flexor, which we can only really do properly in the way that this pose is designed if our hips are square to the front. Yeah. And so you'll find in my classes different variations. Sometimes we're up like this, right? Sometimes we're coming into half moon, we're arching the back. So there's different variations from there, but for the purpose of this, we're only really covering equestrian pose, Ashwa Sanchalanasana. This is our beginner, even I'm like pushing forward a little here because it's kind of hard for me to not push my knee forward because I have always been hypermobile, hyper flexible. So yeah, now we'll move on to let's try the other side. Yeah, so if you are someone who is new to this and who felt good doing it that way, let's try the right side. So let's come back to our knees. And now let's step the right foot forward. And let's square the hips. let's check to see if our knee is over our heel or over our ankle. And then let's see how far we can come forward with the hips square. And so if we're being protective of our knee here, then we can slide the foot out if we can come farther down with the hips, depending on our flexibility here. And then we can place the hands down, make sure our hips are square, lift our chest. We can try how it feels on the fingertips. So those are a couple of different variations for beginners, for those with less flexibility, less mobility. Play around with it. Let me know if you have questions, comments, or concerns. And otherwise, let's move on to how we can use this to increase the mobility of our knees if we are someone who feels pretty safe with our knees. Yeah, we don't have a lot of pain, we don't have any injuries, our knees feel pretty good, we've probably already warmed them up at this point in time, and now we want to increase that mobility. Yeah, so in that case, now we're going to go back to the left leg, we're going to step it forward, and now we're just going to go forward as much as we can. Right, so taking the knee over the foot like this, for some people, it doesn't feel good. For me, it feels amazing. For me, this is one of my favorite ways to increase the mobility in my knees and to kind of warm up my knee joints, right? So if we're going through like our sun salutations, then maybe at the beginning of sun salutations, okay, we're not having quite as much mobility, so maybe we want to be closer to in line with the heel, in line with the ankle. And then maybe we feel our knees start to, okay, loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. So then maybe we keep bending more and more and more into the knee in order to increase that mobility, in order to open up more possibilities for our practice. Yeah, so be careful, right? Listen to your body. It's hard to kind of recommend that when I can't see someone, and there's probably so many people who have told you throughout your life, like, don't put your knee over your ankle, don't put your knee over, and they are trying to help you, right? But if you never put your knee over your ankle, then you're missing out on some serious mobility increasing, in my opinion. Well, and more importantly, in my experience than my opinion. Yeah. So try it out. See what it feels like to push the knee over the ankle. And we can still have our hands down here. We're still having our hips square here, right? So everything else is the same. We're just pushing farther over the ankle. Okay? So try it. See how it feels. Go slowly into it if you're noticing any kind of discomfort. And then let's try the other side. So again, stepping the right foot, or not again. So now stepping the right foot forward. And pushing over, and maybe we can come even more forward. Right, so it's like now not only are we getting that strength in the legs, we're getting that opening of our hip flexor, we're working on our balance, but we're also increasing the mobility of the knees. And I don't know anybody who could not benefit from increasing the mobility of their knees, right? It's like one of the best things that you can do for yourself is make your knees more mobile, because the more mobile your knees are, the better you can walk, the longer you'll be able to walk, distance as well as in life, right? So, yeah, my advice to you is to work toward moving your knee over your ankle. Yeah? And let me know how it feels. If you are able to do that, if you are not able to do that, if you would like any questions, if you'd like any questions. If you have any questions and would like any answers around this posture, please let me know. Or if you have any questions around anything else, let me know as well. And it feels amazing in that back hip flexor, doesn't it? Woo, woo, woo. All right. So, Ashwa Sanchalanasana, low lunge, equestrian pose. That's what I have for you today. Thank you for being here with me, for trusting me and allowing me to guide you. And I will see you in the next class. With so much love, namaste.